Well, hello. It's Saturday the 15th. We're halfway through the month of July, and there's all kinds of. I'm turning down epidemias here a little bit. Let me get the name right. Epidemic sound. Royalty-free sound from the studios of Epidemic. It's a 3-hour thread. So it's my theme song. Think of it as you're waiting in the lobby at the dentist office, and you're happy to be in the lobby listening to Jimmy, because in 20 minutes they're going to... Oh my God, we don't want to do that. Okay. Anyway, so here we are. And the most recent thing that I've noticed in the world of news, let's get this in here, is Tesla just filed a, let's see what this is. Is this it? Yeah. Tesla just filed a patent application for, I call it drive-by-wire. They call it steer-by-wire. Now, of those of you that are familiar with piloting an airplane, which I'm vaguely familiar with. I got dust all over here. Let's get rid of it. There we go. Not that I'm a clean freak. I'm a clutter freak. I got stuff everywhere. And of course my little trusty little duster buster fits perfectly in a tube that came out of, what do you call it? Paper towel tube. All right, so I'll get rid of the dust. It's somewhere else. Anyways, those of you that are familiar with flying aircraft, which there's probably very few or none of you, but fly-by-wire means that the controls for flying, so you got your feet on the ailerons, which, when you fly an aircraft, if you turn the rudder, which is the thing that's on the back tail, that goes like this, it makes the plane go this way or go that way, assuming the center of gravity or the center of rotation is the wings. So if you're going to fly, going to make a left turn, you push down on the ailerons to tilt the wings this way, so that when you turn the rudder, your glass doesn't slide off if you go to your tray table down and you have a glass on there, if you just apply the rudder, the glass goes bloop. We don't want that. So what you do is, because of the gravitational field, is you tilt the wings so that with the radius of curvature that you're flying, the glass ends up kind of tilting like this, so the gravitational force is equal to the angular velocity of the cup going down, so the cup stays on the tray table. Because you've essentially tilted the plane like this, and with rotation, it offsets the tendency of the glass to slide off the table because you've lifted the table by doing the ailerons. Anyway, if you're flying by wire, that means that when you actuate, let's just say the rudder, which is on the back tail. So if you have solenoids on the rudder, when you turn your wheel, the rudder turns, okay? There's no mechanical linkage per se. Let's keep it simple. You're riding a bicycle. You press the brakes. You squeeze the brake pedal thingies on the handlebars. And there's a wire that goes all the way down to the rear brake and the front brake, so that when you squeeze it, the calipers go like this on the wheel and tend to slow you down because of the friction of the brake pads on the rim of the wheel. Okay? That would not be fly-by-wire. That would be driving your bicycle in a traditional way where there's mechanical hookups, between your brake and the brake pads. Now, if it was drive your bicycle by wire, instead of there being a cable with a thingy that goes in the cable, so that when you squeeze this, it pulls on that, and that pulls on that, and then the things go like this, to break the... If it's drive your bicycle by wire, then as you squeeze the calipers on your handlebar, there's sensors in this squeezy thingy, and then there's electrical wires that go through a processor, and the processor then goes to the brakey paddy things that squeeze against, and then there's an actuator that actuates the pads on the rim consistent with the amount of force that you squeeze on the thing. So that would be brake by wire, meaning there's no mechanical connection. So steering by wire, there are sensors around your yoke, okay, the steering wheel yoke. And if you go like this, the sensor realizes that you're turning the wheel to the left, and then that electrical signal goes into the central computer of the car, and then there are wires that run from the central processor to the wheels, so that when you turn left, the wheels then have actuators with solenoids, electrical solenoids that make the wheels go this way. That would be steer by wire. And that's what, so that's this. Tesla filed a patent. Oh no, this is different. No, that's it. It's this article right here. Yeah. Just filed a patent for a new type of technology. where it's going to be, I call it drive-by-wire, but they call it steer-by-wire. So, the accelerator pedal is already under patent because you push down on the very right pedal, and the car goes forward. The more pressure you put on the pedal, the faster the car goes. And that's all electrically connected. There's no mechanical. Now, with a typical gasoline car, there's mechanical linkages. So you press down on the pedal, and the pedal presses that, and then there's a rod that goes like this, and then the actuator that goes like that, and it flips the carburetor to make the gasoline engine run faster, for example. But with the Tesla accelerator pedal, as you press down on the pedal, there are sensors on that pedal, which sends signals to the central computer. There's a central computer in the Tesla. And then that sends a signal to the motors that says, go faster, more energy on the wheels. And that electrical energy is supplied by this huge battery that you're sitting on. And when you lift up on the pedal, all of a sudden, the motors turn into generators. So instead of having to actually apply brakes, you lift up your foot just like you were driving a golf cart. And the more you lift up on your foot, the faster, the more negative acceleration there is, meaning that the Tesla car slows down. And then and you lift your foot up almost all the way or all the way, and the car comes to a complete stop. So with the single pedal driving that you learn how to do on a Tesla, instead of having to switch your foot over to the brake pedal, you rarely ever have to touch I rarely ever touch the brake pedal. I put my foot on the brake pedal. I rest my foot on the brake pedal. I guess out of habit, number one. And number two, a little safety, because I don't want the car to hiccup and jam into the car in front of me. So I put my foot on the pedal because the car's already stopped, and this makes sure it stays stopped. I probably don't need to do that. It's redundant, but I do it anyway because, it makes me feel comfortable. Where else are you going to put your foot? I mean, you could just keep your foot there and, angled up. I just put my foot on the brake pedal and gives my foot something to do. Anyway, so they got steer-by-wire. They already have accelerator-by-wire. I'm sure there's a Tesla patent on that. And then there's a brake-by-wire, because when you step on the brake pedal, it senses your foot on the pedal, and it applies, pressure to the actuators on the brake drum or the rotor. The brake rotor. Anyway, so steer-by-wire is, right now I don't have steer-by-wire. I have a Tesla Model Y. It was built 2 years ago, and when I turn my wheel, there's a rod that goes all the way through, the middle of the car, right into where the wheels are, and there's rods that goes this way. So when you steer the wheel this way, the rods go this way, and it pulls, the back of the wheel this way, and then you drive around the corner that way. You turn the wheel. Anyway, so drive-by-wire, they have sensors on the steering wheel. There's no rod that goes all the way through. It's a rod that basically is, on ball bearings, but it ends, maybe 6 inches from the steering wheel, just so you have something to hold on to. And So apparently they're going to Tesla, now that they have a patent, they're likely going to commence with the actuators and the things that are necessary to steer by wire, so that it's a little more convenient to have the steering yoke instead of the steering wheel. And when you turn the yoke and you're going very slowly, the angular velocity of the turn as it relates to the wheels is greater, should be. And if you're going fast, then when you move the yoke, there'll be a less angular velocity onto the wheels, because you don't want to flip the car, so that there should be some consideration given on the actuators that are put on the wheels when you're going slow speed as opposed to rapidly. So that's what steer-by-wire is all about. That's my... And it just so happens that Lexus may have the steer-by-wire, because in this article it says, just in the advance of the Lexus car, which apparently is using the same technology in a sense. The one thing about a patent, I actually filed for a patent when I was a kid in the Union College, because I developed this little thing that's about this big, by this big, by this big, that had a little aquarium pump, a little aquarium pump that pumps air into the water and a bubbler and all that. Well, I took the input to the aquarium pump, put it on a wand, and I would sniff poisonous gas, like that leaks out of a a Nike missile base. Underground are Nike missiles, or used to be. And they were powered by a chemical called UDMH, unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine. UDMH, unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine. I can draw you a picture of what that chemical looks like with, bonds and all that stuff. Might have to practice a couple of times because it's been a while since I've had to talk about UDMH. But it's a very, very toxic chemical. But it's also, when mixed with liquid oxygen and ignited, it produces a huge amount of thrust. Okay? But it's very poisonous and very corrosive, by the way. Guess what also was powered by UDMH? The space shuttle engines. The engines that were actually in the space shuttle, as opposed to the engines that, with the main stage. I actually don't recall what the propellant is for that. I don't think it's UDMH. I think it was something else. And liquid oxygen. But UDMH was, it's a very compact, highly explosive, or produces a lot of power in a rocket engine. But it's very caustic, meaning it'll, if you pour it on the table, it'll eat a hole right in the table and go through the floor. And then it'll start eating a hole in the floor. And of course, you're dead because it's exposed to the atmosphere. And one or two or three parts per billion, be like boy, which is like one drop in a swimming pool that is 3 feet deep by a square acre, which is 209 feet by 209 feet. That is an acre. 3 feet deep. One drop compared to all that water in that huge swimming pool is 1 part per billion. The assumption is that there are 1 billion drops of water in an acre-sized swimming pool, which I've never seen such a size, but could happen. Anyway. So I filed for a patent. So the little I remember about patent filing as a non-lawyer, because I'm not a lawyer, is that when you're granted a patent, it has to be unique, meaning that there's nothing else like it out there in the world. So they check everybody, see, hey, is this unique? And they publicly, so in exchange for publicly disclosing your design, that's unique, they give you a patent. And that means no one can copy it because it's been researched. There's nothing like it. It's unique. And in exchange for disclosing everything about your design and publishing it for the world to see, they give you a 20-year exclusive, meaning that no one else can duplicate that use without paying you, without remunerating you somehow, in the form of a royalty, I guess. Anyway, so I filed for a patent, or Union College filed for a patent, because my chemistry professor says, hey, there's nothing else like this, except there's a really big machine about the size of this whole tabletop, which is 30 by 5 feet, and has a power cord about this big. And they have this big console that sits around, on Nike missile bases to make sure there's no leaking hydrazine, because it will kill, any military people that are walking around with their weapons guarding the Nike missile base. And if they're all dead, then they're not guarding. So they had this big console sniffing for UDMH. Whereas this little thing that I came up with, which was about this size, they could put around, connected onto their waist belt or whatever, It's just a little tiny pump, and which sniffs. And, a wand could be just up on, the serviceman's exterior of his clothing, and then walk around sniffing for, parts per billion of UDMH. Battery operated. It's cheap instead of expensive. And, so. But by the time my patent got filed and everything, they stopped using UDMH as a missile fuel. Yeah. If I'd have come up with it, a year earlier, which I didn't, the Army or the Army, the Armed Services may have bought my design, They come up with a manufacturer, they manufacture it, here's the design, I get paid a fee for my design, my patent, and, they manufacture 1,000 of these things and ship them all over the world where they're using UDMH. And laboratories that actually use UDMH for some other purpose could have this thing laying around to just sniff for its presence. Anyway, nothing ever happened with the patent because the military stopped using UDMH, unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine. Repeat after me. The words about this is this big. One of those long words. I was a chemistry student, a biochemistry student, a pre-med student. So you had to remember all these long words. Well, the one thing about me learning long words, I had to be able to pronounce them. Because if I can't pronounce them, I couldn't remember how to spell them, or read them, or say them. Anyway, so that's my story about patents. So why am I talking about that? Well, here's Tesla's steering wheel, and there is the Lexus steering wheel. Look at all the doodads they got on that steering wheel. So you have your hand on that, and then you can thumb, yeah, so it'll take a while. You press this little thing, and it, pages up or down. You move this up and down for the lighting, maybe interior. I don't know. You have to learn all this stuff. This is plus or minus, maybe this volume control. All right, what do we got over on this side? And it looks like there's a little raise here, so you thumb to move that. Let's see. It looks like if you press on this side, you end up with a windshield wiper. And on this side, I'm not too sure what that. You have a car within lanes, so maybe that's how you do your lane changing. Put your signals on. You got a flipper dipper here, flipper dipper there, which I don't know what that does. And here's the whipper shoppers, windshield wipers. My kids used to call them whipper shoppers instead of windshield wiper. Whipper schnoppers. I don't know. No, didn't quite hear the word right. Anyway, so here's for speed. Anyway, so that is the Lexus yoke style steering wheel. Lots of stuff going on there. And the Lexus steering wheel yoke is pretty simple. You got these rollers, and the left roller controls the volume on your radio. If you push the wheel in and then rotate it, it changes the fan speed on your air conditioner. And that's software controllable. You can make that do other things rather than change the fan speed on your air conditioner. But that's something that I change often, so I figured I'll program that to change the fan speed. And this one, it depends on what you're doing. If you're just regular driving and you press on that, I'll have to go in the car and remind myself what that wheel does. I can't. It's too faint to see. I know one thing. If you press it in, you can say, put the car in dog mode. So let's say you're parked, and you got to run into the store real quick and come back out, in 5 minutes. So instead of turning off the car and all that, and you put it in dog mode, you just say dog. There's apparently a city in California somewhere called dog mode. Because if I say dog mode, maybe I'm not saying it quickly enough or too fast. If you just say dog, it goes to dog mode. And dog mode means is that you got a little dog in the car, and the air conditioner runs at 75 degrees instead of 70, which is what I prefer driving with, and turns the speed up to, some automatic level to keep your puppy cool while you're in there picking up a prescription, for example. So, and you don't want to walk the dog out or, because that's too much of a hassle. So you leave the dog in the car, put it in dog mode, and then you go into Publix, go get your prescription, come back out. And the car, when you come back, it says, I've got a little puppy in here, and the air conditioner is running at 75 degrees so that someone doesn't beat your glass apart, because some fool locked their dog in the car. Now, it's in dog mode, so the car is at a comfortable temperature inside, even though it's 95 degrees outside. It is 75 inside. And that's you can set that temperature. Anyway, so that's what that wheel does when you're parked. Actually, you could be doing anything and you push this wheel in. It's a wheel, or you can push it in. And if you push it in, it listens for what you say, like turn the volume up on the radio, and it'll turn the volume up. Turn the volume down on the radio, and it'll turn the volume down. Or there's 100 or 200 different voice commands that by pushing that thing down, will recognize your voice on the screen. It'll change your voice into dictation and then actuate the control that you prescribed. Anyway. So that, steering wheel, you push the middle thing here and that actuates the horn. And if you look at this steering wheel, there's an awful lot of things going on here. And I guess you just, I'm not too sure what this up, down, left, right business is. I'll have to ask Daniel. He's a certified Lexus sales manager. So I'll ask him what all that stuff is on that steering wheel. I'll send him a text when I'm done here. And let's see. We've been talking for 32 minutes and 7 seconds. What else we got going on here? I'm returning something to Amazon, and they've changed their... You can't just print a UPS shipping label. You print this thing, and they send a message to UPS to come get your item. So they bring their own shipping label instead of you printing the UPS label. I don't like this much, but that's the mighty Amazon. They probably find this more cost effective. Anyway. DoorDash. Oh, so Gilgo Beach. Interesting. They found all these bodies, and they've found a guy that supposedly they've indicted because of evidence that they have. But Gilgo Beach just so happens, I lived on the North Shore of Long Island in a community called East Hills, which is a fancy community, so to speak. And you drive straight down from the island, and you end up in Jones Beach. If you go further east, you come across, so you got Jones Beach, Beach 1 through 3, and then there's a big pavilion. And then it goes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, going from west to east. Anyway, so Gilgo Beach is further east on the island. And I'd make a left turn onto whatever the road was, the parkway, that would run right down along the beach and let you off at Jones Beach, and you keep on riding. And, 10 miles later, you come up with Gilgo Beach. It was a private beach, and you can see them marching the guy in. Anyway, that's what we used to surf when I was like 14, 15, 16, 17. That age category. We we go surfing because the waves are good out there. I don't, you know, and you didn't have all these people. Jones Beach, they wouldn't allow you to surf because you'd collide into all the people that are in the beach. But Gilgo Beach was like a private beach for the residents that lived out on Gilgo Beach. Well, my next door neighbor to the east of me, or south of me, yeah, they had a summer house, vacation house in Gilgo Beach. There's a beach house. You know, all the modern conveniences, shower, toilets, refrigerators, washer, dryers, and so forth. But it's a beach house, you know, screens and, you know, very easy to break into if you're going to be broken into. But it's very private and, you know, not much traffic way down the end of that road, you know, because it was past the Fire Island Beach, which was, as I remember, a gay beach. And then comes Gilgo Beach, and then comes I don't know what. Anyway, so to see Gilgo Beach in the news was quite a thing because that's where I used to surf with my neighbor Tommy Gilbert, Jimmy and Tommy. We were really good friends. So that's why I clipped that sign at Gilgo Beach. And Marilyn asked me, am I taking B vitamins? I said, wow, that's an interesting question that you're texting me. Yeah, you're taking B6 and B12. As a matter of fact, you're taking 250% of the recommended daily dosage of those B vitamins. So you're getting a lot of B. To be or not to be. So anyway, she asked me that question. I went to my the multivitamin supplement that we take every day. And that's that. There is a disturbance out there in the middle of the Atlantic. It's not a hurricane. It's a subtropical storm. They named, subtropical storm Don, D-O-N. ABCD for Don. Advisory number 2. It's like going this way, and then it's supposed to come around that way, and let's go to the Hurricane Center. This is an app I have. Atlantic. Let's STS Don. See what's going on with Don. All right. Well, that is a nicely organized with a, counterclockwise rotation, a clearly defined center of rotation. And the question is, which way is it going? It looks like it's moving west. Looks like it's going that way. This is probably an 8-hour loop. And now this is advisory number 6. That sucker sure looks like it's. Let me look at the eye of that sucker. And it looks like it's moving very gradually to the west. Now this says northwest. Which has nothing to do with what this little chart is. So they apparently have not redrawn this one. Although that's July 15th at 11 a.m. It's 11:27, so this is a recent one. Sustained winds of under 39 miles an hour. And it's moving northwest at 9 miles an hour, which has nothing to do with that diagram. Unless that's something else. No. a little addition to my suite of things is I have a remote trackpad. Oops, sorry. So if I happen to have this iPad operating, and I wanted to look at that, look at that storm center. Yeah, there. See, there's Don. They've labeled it. It has a nice, nice graphic there. Looks like it's moving due west, but you know I don't know if they're actually. I don't think they're flying aircraft through it because it's only. I think they do that once it becomes a hurricane. But it looks like it's moving directly for New York City. The question is, will it get pulled down into the subtropics? It's odd that a storm is up there. We're supposed to have an above average of hurricanes, but you know what? It's not happening. So this is watching that page, this is watching that page. So if we're doing all this, and I need to get over here with, I don't know if you can see, you probably can't hardly, if you look very carefully. Let's get rid of this. So I clicked the minus sign there. There we go, now we're full screen on this. Yeah, see, now you can, you see my, let's pull it over here. Oh, I can't. Yeah. So you see the arrow right there? Anyway, so I can activate this, trackpad thingy from over here instead of having to reach over here. Plus, this is at an angle, so that this screen is up in front. So if I get a full screen shot out of this camera, which I don't have on because it would scare you to death. So you can see the side of me, but I don't face the camera. I'm facing all this clutter here. So that's all the news fit to print. So I think, do I have anything else to report? Let's look at the, I usually get recollections by seeing the stuff. Oh, I've made a nice batch of a special blend of a mod tea from London. How about that? Is that cool or what? So here we're in an English scene, with the soldiers coming out of the palace. Anyway, so London is a spectacular mecca of fine teas. And this is a special blend with Early Grey. When you open that up and look at it, it looks, all the leaves are dried out and preserved, because they've been dried out. So I made a 4-liter batch of 3.5 liter batch, which is in a beaker that's about this big around and stands about 13 inches tall, which just makes it in the refrigerator. I measured everything. It's a heavy duty beaker. If you drop it, it'll break into a bunch of pieces. But, normal tapping. If you get a standard size beaker, the walls are very thin. But this beaker, the walls are about that thick. If I slide this is very thick. It's not that thick. It's about that thick. All right.